Respected fellow practitioners and guests, in the last talk we were speaking of the 6 paramitas which bodhisattvas practice. We will conclude with the remaining 3 paramitas today. The first of these is diligence. We need to be diligent in everything we do. We need to accept our responsibilities and do our best to meet those responsibilities. We have discussed according, going along with proper conditions, not insisting that others have to do things our way. But we have said, when we go along with conditions, we go along with those that are proper. And this is one of the reasons we need wisdom, another of the paramitas, because we need to be able to discern what is proper and what is improper. When we have decided that something is proper and we are to do it, we should not be deterred when things go against us. We should be determined that if something is right, then it needs to be done to the best of our abilities. If we lack diligence, then as soon as something goes wrong, we will give up and say it's too difficult. We have a habit of doing this. If we were very diligent in our practice, then we more than likely would not be here today. We have not been diligent in our past lifetimes, not as diligent as we needed to be. When we encounter problems, we need to understand why we are. Everything that is happening to us is the result of what we created in the past. So the difficulties that we encounter now are simply the result of what we have done. Understanding this, we will not blame some outside force, saying it is the will of the heavens, and then give up. We understand we destined it. We set things into action by what we have done. But how we react to them is entirely up to us. Some people who do not understand say that Buddhism is very pessimistic because we say there is much evil in this world. Buddhism is neither pessimistic nor optimistic. Buddhism is realistic. We understand why things are happening. Understanding, we use our judgment and our wisdom to determine what is the proper way to behave, and then we do so. In our practice, very often when we start our cultivation, we will begin to encounter many difficulties, many obstacles. Often these are brought about by our karmic creditors. These are beings that we owe debts to from our past lifetimes. If they think there is the possibility that we may achieve attainment in this lifetime. They know they will lose their opportunity for revenge. They will do whatever they can to cause difficulties for us. What we can do in our practice is to dedicate the merits from what we do, from our reciting the sutra, a Buddha's name, mantras, whatever our practice is. We dedicate the merits to those karmic creditors, to all beings in suffering. We ask the karmic creditors to please allow us to progress in our cultivation, that we will continue to dedicate the merits on their behalf, and that doing this, they will benefit greatly, much more than if they merely return the revenge, that if they merely get the revenge they are seeking. We tell them we will dedicate merits on their behalf. As we continue in our cultivation, as we try to move on, we can also encounter obstacles. This is perfectly normal. It is said, in the first year of our practice, the Buddha is right in front of us. In the second year, he has moved into the distance. And in the third year, he is like a cloud in the sky. We need to maintain the level of diligence that we had when we first began our practice, when we were very enthusiastic. We were enthusiastic and diligent when we knew almost nothing. Now, knowing, understanding so much more, there is much more reason for us to be able to be more diligent. And we need to be diligent as well in everything we do. We were discussing patience yesterday. Nothing is attained without patience and without diligence. At work, if we give up at the least difficulty, we will accomplish nothing. There needs to be a balance here. The balance needs to be between diligence and according. And we need to know what the differences are. We accord with others. When everybody wants to do something, and what they are doing is correct, we accord with them. To be diligent is to take on our responsibilities, to be determined to do something. In our determination, in our diligence, we are not attached. We need to understand all the very subtle differences here. A way to do this is to understand flexibility. We are not inflexible. We do not insist that things have to be done our way. When we insist things have to be done our way, we insist that others do them. Diligence is more internal. We ourselves are diligent in what we do. We do not give up. Every time we have difficulties, we try to determine why we are having those difficulties. Maybe it is karmic obstacles. maybe we aren't doing something correctly. Maybe a benevolent being is trying to help us, and maybe that is why we are having difficulties. Are we doing something wrong? Have we made any mistakes? Examine our behavior and make sure what we are doing is still correct. In our diligence, we need to be determined and courageous. This is spoken of in Liao Fan's 4 lessons. When we see something is correct, and we say that we will do it, we do not give up. We have practiced Buddhism many, many times before. But each of those times, something has gone wrong. If it had gone as was correct, we would not be here. But we are still in reincarnation. So we have made mistakes in our practice. Perhaps our belief was not strong enough. Perhaps we believed that the Buddha became enlightened. But perhaps we doubt that our nature is the exact same nature as his. Perhaps we doubt that we too have the ability to awaken, to become enlightened. Perhaps we do not believe. Perhaps we do not believe in cause and effect. Not as deeply as we need to. We understand it logically on a surface level. But we still react the same way that we always have. We still commit the same faults. We still make the same mistakes. So we do not truly believe in cause and effect. We do not truly believe what the Buddha told us. The Buddha told us what life is like, what existence is like in all of the Dharma realms. He told us what animal life is like. He told us what living in the hungry ghost realm was like. And in the Earth Treasure Sutra in particular, Buddha Shakyamuni explained very clearly what the hell realms are like. But we still do not believe. If we believed, we would be terrified at the thought of going there again. There is no way we would do anything wrong. But since we are still doing much that is wrong, we must not truly believe. This lack of belief is one of the reasons we are still here, and may be one of the reasons we are not quite as diligent as we need to be. If we truly believed in all of the teachings of the Buddha, there is no way we would be anything but perfectly diligent. We forgive others, and that is correct. But more than likely, we tend to forgive ourselves more than we forgive others. We lose our temper more with others than we do with ourselves. We become irritated with others. We need to be forgiving of others, very, very strict with ourselves. Those people around us, as much as they want to help us, they cannot make us change. Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, understanding as they do, with the abilities that they have, cannot change us. All they can do is teach us. All they can do is set the example, hoping that one of these lifetimes we will finally begin to understand. We will finally be diligent enough to let nothing deter us. What we do in this lifetime, we do as best we can, but understand nothing in this world is real. Nothing is permanent. Nothing lasts forever. The Diamond Sutra tells us everything is illusory. Dewdrops, a flash of lightning, a mirage. It is not real. We hear this. We immediately forget it. As soon as something happens, we again fall back into our bad habits, make the same mistakes, get wrapped up thinking everything here is real. Nothing is real. Nothing is worthy of worry. What is in the past is in the past. Learn from it. Determine not to make the same mistakes. Be diligent in correcting mistakes. And then let it go. When we have been hurt by something, that plants the seed for being hurt in the future, because we have felt hurt. Each time we replay it in our minds like a movie, going over what has happened, we again plant the seed for unhappiness. Each time we go over it, we plant more seeds. Let it go. Do not concentrate on what has happened in the past. Learn, forget it. Do not constantly have wishful, wandering thoughts of the future. Wandering thoughts are improper thoughts, selfish thoughts. We often hear, do not have wandering thoughts. What are these? These are wishful thoughts, wanting things for ourselves. When it is said, do not have wandering thoughts, this does not mean do not have thoughts. Obviously, we need to think, but we need to have proper thoughts. Do not have wishful thoughts. Those are thoughts that really do not accomplish anything. Just daydreaming. We don't have time to daydream. We don't know how much time we have. But we do know that as the Buddha told us, and as common sense tells us, if our next breath does not come, this lifetime is over. We cannot afford to waste another one. We have wasted far too many. Other beings that we have known in our past lifetimes, friends, parents, children, they have already awakened. They have become enlightened. They have transcended reincarnation. They are learning in the Western Pure Land everything they need to know to come back and help all other beings transcend as well. They have already transcended. We have not. We need to be diligent. The most important thing in this life is what will happen as we are breathing our last breath. Life is not important. Our death is important because that leads us to the next life and the one thereafter. If we are diligent in this lifetime, if we make the vow that at the end of this lifetime we will be born into the Western Pure Land, if we practice very diligently, if we believe that we have the exact same nature as the Buddhas, we believe that as they have told us, we can do this, we can transcend, then we can be born into the Pure Land. The only thing that is stopping us is us. No one else can stop us. Not if we are determined. It's all a play. People acting out parts. Do not believe it is the true reality. It is as a dream. At night when we dream, when we have a frightening dream, we wake up. We know we're awake. Our hearts are still pounding. we still feel that fear. Gradually, our hearts calm down. The fear subsides. But in that dream, we were terrified. We believed it was real. We are in a much, much longer dream. But it is just a dream. We need to awaken from that dream. In our diligence, we need to not be deterred. We need to develop the next paramita of deep concentration, because this will help us greatly in our practice. If we have deep concentration, we will not be distracted by the countless things that go on around us. We will not be distracted by the countless things that go on within us. Our emotions, our wandering thoughts, our differentiating, discriminating thoughts between others and us, yours, mine. None of this is important. None of it is real. There is no such thing as you, me, yours, mine. To think that is as silly as saying something belongs to my one hand but not to my other hand. There is no difference. You and I are one. It is not yours. It is not mine. It is ours. Everything is one. Let go of thoughts of others and us. That leads us to differentiate. That leads us to protect ourselves. That leads us to thinking that what we are doing is real. That leads us to being mired here in reincarnation. To attain deep concentration, we can chant the name of Buddha Amitabha and concentrate solely on the sound of that name to replace other thoughts. But also, when we are at work, at study, doing anything, we can also practice deep concentration. Deep concentration is not having wandering thoughts. It is being focused on what we are doing. When we are in deep concentration, we are conserving our energy. We waste energy with wandering thoughts. In Liao Fan's 4 lesson, when Mr. Liao Fan first met Master Yuan Gu, they sat for 3 days in meditation. No break, no rest, no lunch, dinner. No sleeping for 8 hours at night. They didn't become tired. Why? They maintained deep concentration. They wasted no energy. When we are doing something we enjoy, we find it very easy to concentrate. When we are reading a very good book, watching an engrossing movie, a television program, perhaps the telephone rings, we ignore it. We're wrapped up in the book. We are concentrating. Deep concentration is to be totally focused on what we are doing, single-mindedly concentrating. We do this in everything we do. When we are at work, we can practice deep concentration. When we do so, we will be able to come up with a solution to problems much more quickly. When we are concentrating and somebody says, "It's time for lunch," we'll say, "Fine, you go ahead, I'll join you in a minute." And then realize 2 hours later, we're still working and we're really not hungry. We need deep concentration in our practice. A long time ago, a minister was trying to teach someone deep concentration, how to focus. The person was not getting the idea. The minister said, "Fine. I am going to give you a bowl, and I am filling it with oil. It will be filled to the brim. You cannot spill one drop. If you do, you will be killed. You are to take this bowl. You are to walk all the way to the village. Turn around and come back. Do not spill one drop. Your very life depends on this." The person took the bowl and started to walk to the village. The minister called some people over, said, "Find the musicians, find the dancers, tell them to stand along the side of the road. Play his favorite music, dance to everything you can to distract him. Now, go." And the minister waited to see what would happen. After a long time, down the road, he saw the person coming back with the bowl. Very carefully, very slowly, the person came up, handed the minister the bowl. The minister looked at it and said, "Ah, all the oil is there. Very good. I'm curious. How did you like the music? What did you think of the dancing?" The person looked at him and said, "I'm sorry, what music? What dancing? I didn't notice anything." He was concentrating. Nothing distracted him. His life depended on returning that bowl with all the oil in it. His life depended on concentrating. Our lives depend even more so on our concentration. That person would have been killed one time. We don't know where our next lifetimes will be. We need to be even more focused than that person was in everything we do. When we practice deep concentration at work, it will help us in our concentration in the cultivation hall. It is training the mind. The more we exercise this, just like exercising ourselves physically, when we do an exercise repeatedly, we get better at it, we get stronger. We're doing the same thing with our concentration. The more we exercise the mind in concentrating, the better it becomes, the stronger our concentration. This will help us do better in everything we do. In our studies, when we are able to concentrate, we will remember much more easily. We will understand much more. We will be able to accomplish much more in class. At work, when we concentrate, we will get our work done better, quicker. If we want to do well at work, concentration will help us do better. Any group that we are in, concentration will help us. Everything we do, we need concentration. When we are focused, we will use much less energy. We will not become as hungry. We will not become as tired. When we have something to do, and we really don't want to do it, and we're having difficulty concentrating, we sit down, we start to do something, somebody walks by and says something, and in an instant we're up and we're following them, talking to them. We come back several minutes later, sit down, try to focus again. Somebody comes over, offers us something to eat, we say, "Oh good, I like that," and start eating. Our mind has wandered off again. Accomplishing anything in this way takes a very long time and will not be done well. We need the concentration to benefit from everything we do. With deep concentration, we will be able to listen to the teachings of the Buddha, and we will understand them much better than we have done so previously. We stay in the cultivation hall to practice, to cultivate, to improve, to attain deep concentration. We use that deep concentration when listening to the teachings to be able to understand. Our cultivation and our listening to the teachings go hand in hand. We cultivate to attain the concentration to calm the wandering thoughts, to be able to focus on what we are hearing. We listen and we focus on those teachings to learn why we cultivate. They are complementary. We need to do both on a daily basis. Deep concentration will allow the wandering thoughts to gradually be reduced. When they are reduced, we will start to naturally give rise to our innate wisdom. And wisdom is the sixth paramita. This is not worldly wisdom. This is not knowledge, what we go to school to learn, what we learn throughout our lives, in our reading, through our experience. This wisdom is innate wisdom. It is perfect understanding. People who have wisdom can hear a very complicated problem just one time and intuitively know how to solve it. We too have this ability. They have begun to uncover their wisdom. Ours is still buried very, very deeply within us. It is buried by our bad habits, our faults, our attachments, our worrying about things, our greed, our anger, our arrogance, our ignorance. We are deluded. We do not understand. We listen. We hear the words. We don't understand. If we can practice, if we can concentrate, the wandering thoughts will calm down and that wisdom will start to arise from within us. It is perfect. Our compassion is perfect. Our abilities are perfect. They're already inside of us. We don't need to seek from outside of ourselves. Everything we need, we already have. The only being who is keeping us from uncovering this wisdom, compassion, loving kindness is us. We have an unbelievably rare opportunity. We cannot begin to understand how rare it is. Imagine a vast ocean, larger than anything we have in this world, larger than many, many worlds. at the bottom, the deepest part of that ocean, imagine one tiny bubble. Imagine it rising to the surface of that ocean. And imagine one very small wreath of flowers floating on the surface of that ocean. Imagine that bubble rising slowly to the surface to break through the surface within that one wreath of flowers. If we can begin to imagine what that is like, then we will begin to understand how rare it is to be sitting here listening to the wisdom of the Buddhas. When Buddhism is gone from this world, and Buddha Shakyamuni told us how long the teachings would remain, when they are gone from this world in about 9,000 years, there will be no Buddha to teach us for approximately 6 billion years. We cannot imagine this number. How long did we have to wait for Buddha Shakyamuni to be born? And he lived a mere 8 decades. He taught 49 years. We are living in times of some peace, some warfare, but for us here in Australia, things are peaceful. We have very good conditions. People here are well educated. They can have good jobs. They have the time to study, to learn. We have very good conditions here. We have practiced many, many lifetimes. We have listened to the teachings an uncountable number of times. We have said, I will become a Buddha, innumerable times. We have told others, I will go to the Western Pure Land. I will come back. I will help you. Many times. We have not done so. We are still here. They, beings that we promised to help, are still here. We do not go to the Western Pure Land for ourselves. We go there to help all others. We go there to learn all the different methods. We don't need to learn them now. We need one method for us. That is the Pure Land method. The other methods are equally good, perhaps more suitable for others than for us. We have found the method that is appropriate for us, or we would not keep coming back for the cultivation, for the lectures, to be here. So this is our method of practice. We have found the right method. We have found the good teacher. Our conditions are unbelievably good. We have no idea when was the last time we were able to practice Buddhism. And we have no idea, if we do not achieve attainment in this lifetime by being born into the Pure Land, when we will again hear the teachings. Nothing else is important. Do the best in what you do. Do not attach to it. Concentrate. Vow to be born into the Western Pure Land. Practice chanting the name of Buddha, Amitabha. Recite the Infinite Life Sutra. If you cannot recite the Infinite Life Sutra, recite the Amitabha Sutra. Read these sutras, one or the other. Concentrate in one. Recite one Buddha's name. Recite one sutra. Practice one method. Believe what the Buddhas tell us. The teachings of all Buddhas are the same, because the teachings of all the Buddhas are the truth. And the truth does not change. What Buddha Shakyamuni said 3,000 years ago was the truth. It is still the truth. It will always remain the truth. Buddha Shakyamuni told us of Buddha Amitabha and the Western Pure Land. He told us in our Dharma ending age, this would be a primary way of practice, of transcending reincarnation. Because Buddha Shakyamuni knew the problems we would have. He knew all about our bad habits, our wandering, differentiating thoughts. He knew beings in our Dharma ending age could not do it alone. We need the help of Buddha Amitabha. But even Buddha Amitabha cannot do it for us. He can only help us as a good teacher helps a good student. We are simply asking Buddha Amitabha to please help us, because his wisdom is perfect. His abilities are perfect. He can do so much more than we can. He can teach us what we need to. concentrate on his name. Everything arises from the mind. If we are single-mindedly mindful of Buddha Amitabha, nothing else is in our mind. Only the thought, Buddha Amitabha. When we are thinking only of the Buddha, we are a Buddha in that instant. Everything in the universe is one. There's no difference between us and the Buddhas. We just haven't figured that out yet. But when we are perfectly mindful of them, single-minded of them, in that instant, we are one with them, for we are tapping into that true nature, that Buddha nature within us. This is how we are born into the Pure Land. And when we are mindful of Him more and more every day, then we are building that deep concentration. We are accumulating much goodness. And if we are able to focus on that in our very last moments, as we are about to breathe our last, then finally, in this lifetime, we will be able to be reborn into the Western Pure Land. We do not do this for ourselves. We do this for the benefit of all the beings throughout the universe. Thank you. Let us read the dedication of merit. May the merit and virtue accrued from this work adorn the Buddha's Pure Land, repaying the four kindnesses above and repaying the suffering in the three paths below. May those who see and hear of this all bring forth the heart of understanding and live the teachings for the rest of this life, then be born together in the land of ultimate bliss. Homage to Buddha Amitabha.